Hey Geek, so let's talk about cameras. And specifically, is it really worth the price that you're paying? And so today I'm going to be talking about some cameras that are over 2000 and more often than not 2500 plus if you include the lens. And so the current camera that I'm using right now is the Sony A7 IV. And when I bought it with a kit lens, and that came up to around $2,700. And then if you include accessories and other things, it was about $3,000. So now I'm going to show you why that isn't too bad if you compare it to these other cameras where for the price that you're paying, I don't think it's worth it. And I am going to say this is going to be coming from somebody who's maybe looking to get into these cameras and they are not currently in these camera systems, meaning they don't already have lenses and other accessories built for this camera. So that is the first thing. So let's go ahead and head over to the computer to see what our 2000 plus options are. So let's go ahead and start off with the one that is really near and dear to my heart because I am a Panasonic owner. I have a Panasonic G85. This is the first real camera that I've owned, and I absolutely love everything about it, except for the fact that, well, as everybody knows who is a Panasonic owner, is the video autofocus. That is the main reason why I went to Sony. But what we have here is the Panasonic Lumix GH6, the successor to the wildly popular GH5. And as you can see here, just for the body alone is $2,197. And if you actually add a lens to this, so we'll go ahead and add a lens, and there is a 12 to 35, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so this one, this is similar to the kit lens that I got with my Panasonic G85. So this is a 12 to 35, the f2.8. So now it's about $2,895. And as you can see there, it says kit. So that is basically the kit lens. And so here you're looking at, a lot of money for a camera that is actually a micro four thirds camera. And I know that there's definitely a use case for it, but as you see with these other cameras, and then when you compare it to my camera, the value proposition here is just not as great. So with a lens, which if you're looking to get a new camera and say you've never had any of these cameras before or you're not invested in the system, you're going to need a lens. And so let's just say this is around $2,900 for the Panasonic GH6. And moving over to another micro four thirds system is the OM system OM1. So the body alone, same price as the Panasonic GH6. And if you get it with a kit lens, very similar. This is 12 to 40 f2.8. So now you're looking at $2,799. And the Olympus is very similar to the Panasonic in the case that it is a micro four thirds systems. However, the big difference here is that its video autofocus is much better. It is more reliable. So that is the Panasonic GH6 and the OM system OM1, used to be Olympus. And now let's go ahead and move over to a larger sensor camera. And what we have here is the Fuji SH2S. Now both the Panasonic GH6 and the OM system, they are micro four thirds, so that's currently the smallest sensor out of these cameras. So this one is actually an aps-c sensor. So this is larger, it's right below the full frame. And for the body alone, you're looking at $2,499. And if you actually add a lens to it, and there's many options, but I'm going to go with the cheapest one. I don't think that's the cheapest. Let me see if I could get one that is a kit lens. Okay, so when it came to an actual kit lens, the lenses they offer here are not kit lenses. These are very, very expensive. So as you can see here, that significantly increases the price. And so what I had to do was I had to look at the previous model, the Fujifilm SH2, and then the lens that they had available here is the XF1680. So you're looking at about $800 for that lens, but it's probably a little bit cheaper if you buy it with the camera. So in this case, the body only for this older model was $2,000, and if you get it with the lens, it's $2,500. So basically $500. So let's assume you get that for $500 if you were able to add it as a kit lens. So that would bring the price of this camera to around $3,000. And so those are the three that we have. And there are going to be many other specs involved with this. But if I compare it to the camera that I have, which is a Sony a7 IV, this is a full frame camera, and the body alone is 2,500. And if you were to get a kit lens like what I got with it, which is the 28-70, that brings it up to $2,700, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, which is around the same price as these other ones. And it's actually a little bit cheaper, as a matter of fact, and especially when you compare it to the Fuji SH2S. And then if you look at all the other specs, the Sony a7 IV has the best autofocus out of all of these cameras. So that's something that I think is really important to a lot of people who are content creators, who are shooting themselves, and who don't want to spend a lot of times worrying about whether or not their shots or their videos were in focus. And then the Sony a7 IV offers so many other features. And if I look at all these features and then I compare it to what's available in these other cameras, of course, these features are going to be based upon your needs. But in terms of just somebody getting into their first camera and they're going to spend this much money, I really feel that the Sony a7 IV offers the best of both worlds. It also offers the highest resolution at 33 megapixels. And each one of these, they are significantly lower, and at the same time, they are smaller sensors. So the OM system is 20 megapixels, and this one, the Panasonic GH6, I think it's also 20 megapixels. Let me see, make sure. Yes, 25 megapixels. And then the Fujifilm is at 40 megapixels. Given everything else that you get with the Sony a7 IV, I really feel like spending $2,500 or more for these other cameras, as your first camera, I really don't think they're worth it, especially for Micro Four Thirds. If you don't have a Micro Four Thirds camera or lens to begin with, at this price range, I definitely think you're better off getting either an aps-c camera or a full frame, because this is definitely where the entire industry is heading. And also other things that I'm thinking of, the entire system, your lens selection, I think by far Sony a7 IV has the best, because it has a lot of third-party manufacturers making lenses for you, so you can get cheaper lenses instead of paying for the more expensive G-Master systems. For professional virtual business locations, check out Anytime Mailbox, with more than 1,300 locations worldwide at affordable rates. For more information, check out the affiliate link in the description area below. And so those are just some of my thoughts for anybody who's actually looking to get into their first real camera, and they're looking to spend anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000, including a lens. And this is going to be a big investment for most people. And at least in my opinion, and after what I've shown you here, I still think the Sony a7 IV is going to give you the best overall value, especially if you're thinking about the lens selection, the entire system, and just the overall support this is going to get. Whereas if you get into something like the Panasonic or the OM systems with Micro Four Thirds, I'm really not sure how much longer it's going to last. And also, full frame does give you a lot of benefits. And then when it comes to the Fuji camera, it's kind of like halfway there. You get some benefits, but then you don't get the full benefits. And at the same time, as you saw, the price is even more expensive. And actually, the Sony a7 IV overall, it comes to like being nearly the cheapest when you consider everything all together. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, or any of your own picks for spending $2,500 or more for your first real camera, be sure to leave in the comments area below. And if you wanted to see my video where I talk about spending $6,000 on YouTube equipment, I'll leave that description area below or up here.